Welcome back to FT Markets. The UK election campaign has kicked off and there's a lot more attention now on sterling and the tensions in the currency markets, not just because of the election politics, but also because of what's going on in the world in terms of where the Fed moves next with interest rates and ECB quantitative easing. With me to discuss the pressures on sterling is Roger Blitz, the FT's currency correspondent. Roger, welcome to the Financial Times. We've had quite a lot of strong currency movements across the world, but sterling's not been any exception. If we look at our first chart, we can see quite striking, very different moves against the euro over the past year compared to against the dollar. Very briefly, tell us, what's the story been so far in the past year?
Well, in general, the markets have liked sterling. It's been a safe haven compared to some of the problems the Eurozone has been having. So there's been a lot of
rising
support.
Against the euro,
There's been a lot of support for that. But at the same time, there's been a great deal of dollar strength that we've seen. And we've seen currency traders park themselves in between. Long clearly on the dollar, long sterling against the euro, but obviously short sterling against the dollar.
It represents relative economic performance as well, doesn't it, in terms of UK outperforming the Eurozone, but not as strongly as the US economy.
Yes, although there was talk about 12 months ago about how actually sterling and the Bank of England might lead the US Federal Reserve into raising rates. That's come back, and we've seen almost both the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve almost in lockstep about being more dovish about the outlook.
Yes, we've even had suggestions that UK interest rates may be cut further.
Yes, that was Andy Haldane, the chief economist, and that's really thrown the market not into turmoil about sterling, but it's made the market pause about what they think about sterling. And obviously, with the election coming up and all the uncertainty that creates in general, that is also causing people to
what we can
steady
see
themselves.
on the right-hand side of our chart is that the trend this month, suddenly what we've seen over the past year has gone into reverse. The euro's been weakening against the pound, and
yes, and around that time we see a bit more of the election chatter kicking in, but also then we hear Mark Carney, of the Bank of England governor, starting to be a bit more dovish, the Haldane comments, and that is when you start seeing people starting to sell off sterling a bit against the euro.
Sterling weakening against the euro, sorry, I got that wrong earlier, and then strengthening a bit against the dollar.
Yes, it's been strengthening partly because there's been a bit of counterweight against the dollar's weakening as well, but I think broadly you will start to see that trending across.
Okay, let's talk about the election now. In fact, we have the latest opinion polls which show the two main parties, Conservative and Labour,
and they've been like that for what, 12
level
months?
pegging,
You know.
which means a lot of uncertainty. Of course, we also have the strength of the smaller parties and the possibility of multiple possibilities for different coalitions. What effect is that uncertainty having on sterling, do you think?
Well, I think a lot of people priced it in on the back of what happened with the Scottish referendum back in September, when currency markets were spooked by that poll which said that there might be a vote for the Yes campaign. So I think we're seeing a lot more pricing in going on.